Good evening, guys, and welcome back to my channel. So as promised, tonight I have a book haul / book tour to share with you guys. I have a few books here that are books that I've read in my past. A couple of them, well, actually all the ones that I have from my past, I would consider to be monumental, like profound, sort of life-changing books that I would highly recommend you would read, books that changed my life and oftentimes came to me at points in my life when I really, really needed those books. I think books are super powerful, and also just having a paradigm shift and a change in the way that you think and the way that you believe and the way that you feel about yourself and the way that you feel about your potential. And just, I think that mindset is huge, and some of these books were just life altering for me. I also have some other books that are a little bit newer that I haven't read that I'm really excited to read. There's about 10 to 15 books, I would say, in today's video, and I do apologize in advance because we started out with pretty good lighting, but it took a lot longer than I thought to talk about these books. I thought it was going to be quick, but apparently I talked a lot and it ended up going later into the evening. So I do apologize if you find it a little bit dim toward the end. Hopefully this video finds you in the evening when you're just relaxing in a bath or getting ready for bed, or just want something relaxing and chill to listen to. And my hope today would be that you would find at least one book in this video that might change your life, especially if you are younger or struggling or going through something difficult right now in your life. I have been there, you guys. I have gone through so many difficult things in my life. Like, it's a wonder I'm even still here, honestly. Sometimes I just think, like, I can't even believe I made it through some of the stuff I made it through, but here I am. And some of these books helped me get through those times. Anyways, I just hope that there's a book in here that somebody finds that changes your life. That would be very, very cool. I will link all the books down below in the description box, you guys. And yeah, let's just get into today's little book tour. Okay, before we get started with these books, I am drinking some herbal tea. This is just some herbal berry tea of some sort. I'm not even sure what kind of tea it is. It's a little bit late in the evening right now, so I don't want to be drinking coffee, but I'm drinking it in one of my favorite mugs, which I always show in my videos, and I've had so many people ask me where I got this mug from. So if you guys are interested, I will link it down below for you. And I wanted to show you this candle that I just got. Okay, so this candle I just recently got from a local pharmacy, and this is a very fall-inspired candle, and it is called Autumn Chestnut. It is a scented soy candle, and it smells really, really good. It basically smells like, I would say, pumpkin and a little bit spice and maybe a little bit of vanilla and some leaves or something like that. It smells very natural, very much like a nature candle. And when I smelled this, you guys, I just couldn't help myself. I really wanted it, even though I know I have lots of candles. I don't know, something bit me today. Like, I was bitten today by the autumn bug. I don't know why. I think because I realized it's the end of August. I couldn't believe it when I saw the date. And I just I smelled the candles and I saw all the fall decor around, and it just kind of bit me, and I decided I was gonna hold off. I was gonna wait because we don't even have like yellow leaves on the trees or anything yet, but I decided I was going to break into my autumn vibes today, and I lit this candle for tonight specifically to have a really nice relaxing night with you guys. And yeah, just drink some tea and talk about books. Okay guys, so I think the best way to do this is just to sit on the floor with the books in front of me. I don't know how else to share with you these books. So I'm going to show you them close up, obviously, but I have a whole bunch of books here in front of me. I've gone through phases with my quote-unquote minimalist past where I didn't really want to hold on to books. I felt that they were kind of clutter, especially if I had already read the book. I felt like I got what I needed from the book. I can pass it on. It's not something I need to keep. But honestly, you guys, some of my best growth, my best internal growth, my paradigm shifts, the way that I view the world, the way that I view myself, the way that I view how I live, moments of growth have come from reading books. Books are so powerful. I've had books, some of the books that are actually in this pile, that have literally changed my life. I have had books that have taught me lessons and changed the way that I viewed things and given me a new perspective on life and on death and on just how we live, how we behave, how we treat other people, concepts on motivation, concepts on manifestation. I've learned so much from books. And so there are some of those books in this pile that yes, I read them before, but I wanted to bring them back because I remember them being very, very valuable for me at points in my life. I'll get a little bit more into that when we talk about the specific book. So I do have some of those books here. And I also have some books here that are brand new. A couple of them were actually recommended from subscribers, and a couple were ones I just stumbled upon on Amazon. There's a couple that I've read recently that I wouldn't necessarily recommend. I will tell you guys as we go through the books which ones I would recommend, which ones I would consider to be those life-changing books. So I think we'll just start out with one book at a time, and I think I'll just maybe start with the two that I've read most recently that are okay, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend getting them. So I brought my candle here for you guys. Hopefully it makes it a little bit nicer to look at and a little bit more relaxing. I started out with just the book and my tea, and it looked a little bit bare. So hopefully this is nicer for you guys to pay attention to. We are slowly losing daylight. Okay, so this first book is not one that I would consider to be groundbreaking or consider to be something I would say run out and get it right now. It wasn't monumental. It wasn't super deep. I've definitely read books in my past that have had those sort of life-changing moments for me. So this was not that kind of book, although it did have some pretty good surface level beginner. I would call it a beginner's book. If you struggle with overthinking, you struggle with stress, you struggle with anxiety, which I do sometimes. I definitely catch myself in these cycles of anxiety sometimes. Books can really help. So anyway, this book here is called Stop Overthinking by Nick Trenton, and this is 23 techniques to relieve stress, stop negative spirals, declutter your mind, and focus on the present. It is a pretty good book. It came recommended on Amazon. It talks about cognitive behavioral therapy a little bit, cognitive distortions, which is huge for me. I love that. It's something I wouldn't mind coming back and referencing because I do sometimes find myself in those negative thought patterns where I do have cognitive distortions like black and white thinking, catastrophizing, emotional reasoning, all those kind of things. This does touch on that a little bit, but it's not super in depth about it. This book also does talk about ruminating, and it also talks about a little bit about like decluttering your space, because the space that you surround yourself with impacts how you feel emotionally. Yeah, it talks about mindset. What else does it talk about? Clutter, yeah, I highlighted this part. So it does talk a little bit, but I mean, the book doesn't go super in depth. It's not what I would consider a game-changing book. Although if you are new to some of these concepts, it could be game-changing for you. I've read books in the past that were more profound to me than this one. So this is quite a good book. It is not bad. It is a very easy read. I read it within, I think, 2 hours. But this book wasn't one that I read it and I was like, oh my gosh, it changed my life, But it is okay. So that one is Stop Overthinking by Nick Trenton. Good as a beginner anxiety book. The second book that I read, and this literally took me 5 minutes to read, and I don't know why it's even a book, because it's kind of, I don't know, it's very short. I guess it's okay for just a quick reference. This one is called 100 Quotes That Will Change Your Life. And this one I found because I was on Instagram one day and somebody had shared a quote from the book. And I thought that sounds like a book I might like to read. So this is from Library Mindset. And one of the example quotes on the back here is, when you focus on you, you grow. If you focus on shit grows. And 99 more quotes that will change your life. Again, not a ground-changing, monumental, amazing book. That's literally all it is literally 100 quotes. So a super fast, easy read. Took me about 5 minutes, maybe 10 minutes max. I highlighted the ones I liked the best so that I could come back to them, but it's not the type of book you're going to want to reference over and over because it had such valuable insight. It just has some of those quick, good quotes that were like, oh yeah, that makes really good sense. I can apply that to my life. Yeah, so would I recommend this one? Not really. I would say if you know someone who has it, borrow it or rent it from the library, but it's not one that I would go out and buy. But I'll just share with you guys a couple of my favorite quotes that I highlighted. Motivation is what gets you started. Habit is what keeps you going. Some of the quotes didn't resonate with me. Some of them I'd already heard before, and it was kind of super surface level. This one's okay. Travel and tell no one. Live a true love story and tell no one. Live happily and tell no one. I like this one. If it isn't a clear yes, it's a clear no. It's okay, but I kind of regret getting it. It's not one that I want to keep in my library forever or anything. It's not a special book. Okay, so getting into the books that I have not read yet. These are new and I'm excited to read them. This one, I feel like it looks like it might be a little bit surface level as well, although as the saying goes, you cannot judge a book by the cover. So you never know, I might get into it and find that it's really helpful and a great read. This one here is called The Power of Discipline by Daniel Walter, How to Use Self-Control and Mental Toughness to Achieve Your Goals. I really love books on goal setting and changing your frame of mind. And I'm a huge believer, not even a believer, I mean, I think it is just what it is, that, when you change the way that you look at things, you can really change your life and you can become so much more productive and you can achieve more than you ever thought possible. And yeah, I really love books about mindset. It just says achieve your goals in record time. And it says join a gym, start a healthy eating plan, save money, stop smoking. The list of New Year's resolutions is endless, but how many of them are ever accomplished? So yeah, I'm hoping that it'll be okay. It kind of looks like it could be a little bit, again, kind of surface level. It's not a very long book. We have self-discipline, the biological argument, the benefits of self-discipline, you fall in love with the process. I like that. How to avoid burnout. So yeah, I think that it could be a pretty decent book. It's not the one I'm most pumped to read. The next one is a pretty popular one, and this is one I've already owned before, and for some reason at the time that I owned it, I couldn't really get into it. This is The Law of Attraction. The Law of Attraction by Esther and Jerry Hicks. And yeah, this is, as you might imagine, about the law of attraction. And I actually really love watching Esther Hicks with her speeches and her talks. She is really motivational, and I love how she talks about being in the vortex and just essentially how to get your frame of mind in the right space to allow things to come into your life, positive things. I feel like it really does all come down to positive mindset. And if you are looking for some really good content, check out Esther Hicks's YouTube videos about being in the vortex. It sounds hokey when you first hear it, and my boyfriend, I've told him about it, and he says it sounds hokey to him because he's really not into this kind of new age, like spiritual law of attraction, manifestation, mindset stuff. He doesn't believe he needs that, I think, because he has it. But there's a lot of us who have dealt with things in the past, or we weren't really handed much in life, so we feel like we have to work hard for things, whatever. Anyways, do check out Esther Hicks if you want some really good motivating content. But this book basically talks about the law of attraction. And when I owned this book before, I think I just wasn't in the right mindset to read it, to get into it. You know how sometimes you're not ready for a book? So anyway, it definitely starts out talking a little bit about how you attract what you're thinking about. You attract your vibration, you attract what you're asking for in your life and what you're putting out there into the universe. And I'm a strong believer in that, how we feel, how we think, the actions we take, obviously the mindset that we have. And I'm huge into, I love the law of attraction stuff. Some of these books have actually changed my life. Yeah, this one I'm excited to read. I think it's going to have to be one of those books that I sit down when I have nothing to do for a whole day and just sit down and really get into it, because once I really get into this stuff, I go deep into it and I get super, super invested, and I start making lists and I start journaling and I just really get into it. So I'm really excited to read this book. This is another book. This one was actually recommended to me from a subscriber over on Instagram. Somebody had written me. I had asked a question in my stories about what books people would recommend and told them that I'm really big into productivity and self-help and improving your life and spiritual, that kind of thing. And somebody had recommended this book, Manifest: 7 Steps to Living Your Best Life by Roxy Nafousi. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. And it says, are you ready to unlock the magic of manifesting and unleash your limitless potential? This book is the essential guide for anyone and everyone wanting to feel more empowered. In just 7 simple steps, you can understand the true art of manifestation and create the life you've always dreamed of. Yeah, cultivate self-love and live your best life. So I've already read a lot of books on manifestation. This isn't a concept that's new to me. I have been making vision boards for years. I don't always make time for it, but I know the value of making like gratitude lists and affirmations and falling asleep with positive thoughts in your mind instead of falling asleep thinking negative thoughts, and all that stuff. Like, I've done lots and lots of reading on it, but it doesn't hurt to rekindle that. Having a negative mindset, being affected by negative people, having people suck the energy from you, putting you into a lower state of vibrational being, pushes away all the things you want and brings more of what you don't want. And so over the years, I've definitely felt like my vibration has gone from where I felt like I was like, quite enlightened. I mean, not enlightened, but I felt like I was doing pretty good. I felt like I was very aware of my thoughts, the way that I was feeling, the words that I would use, the language I would use, the type of inner speech, inner dialogue that I would allow myself to have, my control over the way I would think. I would use daily affirmations. I would watch uplifting content. I was making goals. I was accomplishing my goals. But then over the course of a few years, things in my life got stressful. I went back to school. That was very stressful. And I just have had a lot of stress over the last few years. Like my life got quite stressful. And so, it doesn't hurt to come back and rekindle the thoughts and ideas that you used to hold so dear, because manifestation and law of attraction was something I used to practice every single day. It is something that you have to practice every single day, writing gratitude lists, being thankful for what you have, trying not to complain about things, trying not to speak poorly and gossip and speak hateful words about people and, all that stuff. It takes work. It takes work to make yourself a positive person and to rise above the multitude of negativity that is around us. Anyway, so I am really excited to read this book. But yeah, it shows like the different levels of vibration, the low vibration emotions, high vibration emotions, going from fear all the way up to unconditional love. And then step 1, be clear in your vision. I like this because being clear in your vision goes along with like goal setting. I really like the approach it's taking so far, so I'm excited to read that book as well. Okay, the next book is called Better Small Talk by Patrick King, and it says, talk to anyone, avoid awkwardness, generate deep conversations, and make real friends. I thought that this might be a good practical book. I just thought it sounded like an interesting book. I think it doesn't hurt to work on your conversation skills. I do have a little bit of social anxiety. I do have a little bit of anxiety in large groups of people. So it says in the back, networking events suck, but they can suck less. What to say and when to say to be likable, connect, and make a memorable impression. Applicable verbal maneuvers for just about every phase of conversation, from hello to goodbye, with strangers or old friends. You'll learn how to simply go deeper. So yeah, I think it's going to be good. I haven't even dug into it yet, but I do think that this book might be a pretty decent, interesting read. I hope that there is some really good practical tips in here. I like books that tangibly give you things that you can actually put into motion to change your life right now. This is another book that I recently got, and it's called Eliminate Negative Thinking: How to Overcome Negativity, Control Your Thoughts, and Stop Overthinking. Shift Your Focus into Positive Thinking, Self-Acceptance, and Radical Self-Love by Derek Howell. And this one says, if you want to break free from negative thought patterns, stop worrying, and learn to think positive, here's the right book for you. Yeah, this one looks like it'll be okay as well. It got pretty good reviews. Employ positive affirmations. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll give it a little read through. I think this will be a fairly easy one to read. It looks like probably one night I can sit down and read this book. If you struggle with negative thinking or anxiety, maybe it's a good book for you to check out as well. Okay, you guys, the next 3 books are all from the same author. And this man, like if I could attribute so much of what I've learned, like I would say the most helpful authors slash speakers, motivational speakers that have changed my life astronomically, I would say Robin Sharma is one, Wayne Dyer, Eckhart Tolle, which by the way, I don't have any Eckhart Tolle books in today's video, but I've read 2 of his books that I would recommend, and I'll probably talk about them briefly at the end of the video, or I'll just link them down below, the 2 Eckhart Tolle books. So Robin Sharma, Eckhart Tolle, Wayne Dyer, Abraham Hicks to a degree. And then I would say that the 5th one, and one of the most powerful, is Brian Tracy. Brian Tracy is like the father of goal setting, learning how to reframe your thinking and reframe your mindset to accomplish anything you want to accomplish in life, instilling massive amounts of self-belief in yourself and the belief that you can literally accomplish anything you want to accomplish. Like, this is your man. So I started out just watching YouTube videos of his. I've never read any of his books. I've been watching his videos on YouTube for years, probably about 10 years now. The man is phenomenal. He has been doing this for a long time, and I am super, super excited. A couple of these books are a little bit older, and I think the newest one is No Excuses, and then Goals. And then you can tell just by the font and everything that this one's a little bit older. So this one here is Maximum Achievement. Honestly, I'm okay having 3 Brian Tracy books because I don't think anything he says can be not worth reading. I don't think anything he writes wouldn't be worth it. Like, you guys need to check him out, and you need to check him out right now. If you are in school, if you are trying to figure out what you want to do with your life, if you're starting a business, if you are in need of some serious motivation, and you want to like reframe the way you think and the way you feel about yourself and like your level of self-belief, you have to check out Brian Tracy. So this one is called Maximum Achievement: Strategies and Skills That Will Unlock Your Hidden Powers to Succeed. There's Brian Tracy in his younger years. This book got really good reviews. All three of these books. I was trying to choose just one, and I actually Googled the best Brian Tracy books, and all three of these books were on the top list. And so it says here, Brian Tracy is one of the world's leading authorities on success and personal achievement, addressing more than 100,000 men and women each year in public and private seminars. In Maximum Achievement, he gives you a powerful, proven system based on 25 years of research and practice that you can apply immediately to get better results in every area of your life. You learn ideas, concepts, and methods used by high-achieving people in every field everywhere. You learn how to unlock your individual potential for personal greatness. You will immediately become more positive, persuasive, and powerfully focused in everything that you do. Yeah, the man is life-changing. Like, this man has changed my life. Some of his, I used to have sticky notes, you guys. I used to have an office back before I went to university to become a nurse, back before I increased my income, back before I did a bodybuilding competition, before I had my glow up, like before I actually took my life and had a glow up and like changed my life for the better in every way, you guys. Before that happened for me, because I came from poverty, I came from dysfunctional family stuff, I came from not a very good upbringing, not a very good teen years. And I completely changed my life. And I'm not trying to brag, I'm just trying to tell you that it's possible, but you have to have the right frame of mind. But I had an office in my home, and I had a vision board, and I had sticky notes of things that Brian Tracy said, and I had them all over my walls. And it sounds crazy, but I would put like a particularly inspirational quote from him in my bathroom, so that every morning when I was getting ready, I would see it on my mirror. And doing those kind of things actually does change your life. Like when you have to remind yourself of certain paradigms, of certain ideas. For example, something like, you become what you think about most of the time. He said that. I'll never forget. You become what you think about most of the time. And, you have to remind yourself of things like that, because what are you thinking about? Are you thinking you're a failure? Are you thinking you're a slob? Are you thinking that you don't dress well, that you're clumsy, that you're always late for things? Like, what do you believe about yourself at your core? You have to realize that you become what you think about most of the time, right? So anyway, I'm super, super excited to read these books. So we have Maximum Achievement, we have No Excuses, The Power of Self-Discipline, another discipline book. But I have a feeling this one is going to be better than the other discipline book, as no one is better qualified to help you navigate your future than my friend and colleague Brian Tracy. Learn from his wisdom, and the stars are yours to claim. Most people think that success comes from luck or enormous talent, but many successful people achieve their accomplishments in a much more mundane way, through self-discipline. So personal goals, business and money goals, overall happiness. Each of the 21 chapters includes exercises to help you apply the no excuses approach. You can learn how to be more successful in everything that you do. So yeah, I'm super excited to read that one. It looks really good. And then this one here called Goals, How to Get Everything You Want Faster Than You Ever Thought Possible. And yeah, just basically more of the same kind of thing. Brian Tracy is one of the top management consultants, trainers, and speakers in the world. He took himself from rags to riches using precisely the methods explained in his book. Yeah, so he's phenomenal, you guys. I literally cannot recommend, I haven't read the books, but I can't recommend a person more if you're looking to level up your life. Him and Robin Sharma, fantastic when it comes to goal setting, changing your life, leveling up your life. Another book that I got that I have not read yet is Ask and It Is Given by Esther and Jerry Hicks, Learning to Manifest Your Desires. This is one that I tried to read before, and it didn't. Again, it was one of those books that did not resonate with me at the time that I started to read it. But every time I look up like spiritual books or books about manifestation or about law of attraction, this is always one of the top ones that comes up. I think I got like a chapter into it at some point, and then I quit reading it for some reason. So I'm going to give it a go again and see if I can get a little bit more into it these days. Like I say, sometimes you're just not ready for a book. It says one of the most valuable things is that it gives us 22 different powerful processes to achieve our goals. No matter where we are, there's a process that can make our lives better. I love this book, and I love Esther and Jerry Hicks, and that is from Louise Hay. best-selling author of You Can Heal Your Life, which, by the way, I have not read You Can Heal Your Life. I probably should. I hear great things about that book. Okay, the next book is one that I've read a little bit of and I want to read more of, and this is Jesus Calling by Sarah Young. Enjoying Peace in His Presence. And yeah, I haven't, like I say, I've only read a few pages of this book, but what I will say, and I don't want to get into religious beliefs or anything like that because I feel like they're very polarizing, so I'm not going to talk about my own spiritual or religious beliefs, but what I will say, and I will be perfectly vulnerable and honest with you guys, is that the more that I experience this world and the direction that this world is going in and the things that I see happen and the level of unrest and turmoil that this world is in and uncertainty and just everything happening, the more that I experience life on this planet, the more that I feel that I am being called to a higher power. I am being called more toward something that is not of this world because yeah, that's about as much in depth as I want to get into it, but I just have been feeling lately like I am being called toward something else. And yeah, so this is kind of like, I guess, a discovery time for me. And I also feel like I'm really changing a lot. Like, not to get too personal, but I feel like I'm just, my mentality, the things I think are important in life and what I want in life, like I'm growing and evolving as a person. And I just feel like I need something that I can't find on earth. Let me just put it that way. I don't know how else to explain it. But the more that I see the amount of evil that is in this world, the more that I am being pulled toward the opposite. So I'm really excited to get into this book a little bit. I saw a few quotes that actually a fellow content creator had posted on her Instagram, and the quotes that she had put from this book on her Instagram stories really resonated with me. And I said, I needed to hear that. Like, I needed to read that. What book is that? And she recommended this one, and now I've got it here. So it's actually a really nice little book. It's in this leather, I think it's faux leather bound book. Yeah, and I really find it comforting. I find it comforting and calming. Okay, you guys, I apologize. We are losing light. It is getting darker out earlier, which makes me feel even more like it's fall. Getting into the books that actually were like life-changing for me / monumental / I remember them from the very first moment I read them. I remember them as being very important, very good books. This one here is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. This is not a new book. It's been around for quite a long time. Amazing book. I'm sure lots of you have heard about it or read it. It's fantastic. It's an easy read and it has just really great concepts. The concepts are kind of beginner level, but they're important nonetheless. And obviously he talks about the 4 agreements that will change your life. The first agreement is to be impeccable with your word. The second agreement is don't take anything personally. The third agreement is don't make assumptions. And the fourth agreement, which is in chapter 5, is always do your best. Anyways, so it sounds very basic, but it is a really good book. The concepts that he writes about in here make complete sense, and it really does give you a new perspective on things. I read this book in high school, and thank goodness the teachers at the time recommended this book to me, because at the time it was just it was my first look into the power that our thoughts have over our lives. And when I was in high school, I'm very, very lucky that I had some wonderful teachers. What would we do without wonderful teachers, right? They introduced me to this thought that thoughts could shape my life. And when I was in high school, you guys, I was in a bad place. I was in a really rough place and had been for many years. So being in high school and having these teachers introduce to me books like The 4 Agreements, books like The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari from Robin Sharma, things like control theory, learning that our thoughts could shape our lives, and you could literally become anything you want to be, and those kind of things. That was really important for me. So yeah, this was the first book that I read in that direction, and it really was quite monumental for me at the time, and I still think it's a great book, and I would like to reread it. I haven't read it since I was in high school, so I would definitely like to reread it. All right, the next book that changed my life is by none other than Dr. Wayne W. Dyer, who has been called the grandfather, I think, of motivation. He has passed away, unfortunately. I think a couple of years ago he passed away, which is really sad. God rest his soul. But he was a gift to the world. If you are familiar with Wayne Dyer, you know he was a gift to the world. He's wonderful. I've watched a lot of his speeches. Just this man, I think if I was in his presence, I would cry, because that is the type of impact he has on people. So anyway, this book here is The Power of Intention, Learning to Co-Create the World Your Way. Sounds basic and like, okay, what is it about? But honestly, this is such a fantastic book. It says, intention is a force in the universe, and everything and everyone is connected to this invisible force. Dr. Wayne Dyer has researched intention as a force in the universe that allows the act of creation to take place. This book explores intention not as something you do, but as an energy that you are a part of. We are all intended here through the universal power of intention. This is the first book to look at intention as a field of energy you can access to begin co-creating your life. He talks a lot about God in this book, but he talks about God as if, because everybody has a different view on God, and all the different religions in the world all have their different idea of who God is and the manifestations and all of this stuff. And he talks a lot about the source, the universe, the creator, God, whatever you want to think of it as, because not everybody is affiliated with a religion, but there are a lot of people who are very spiritual and believe in a creator. They believe in the universe, they believe whatever, but they're not necessarily religious. So he talks in this book from that angle. So it is a really, really good book. I think it is helpful and significant no matter what walk of life you're from. It talks specifically in this book at one point about how not to fear the end of your own life, because it talks about that we are all one and we are all connected, and we are all connected to this omnipresent source of energy that we, can't possibly explain what it is. We can't possibly put it into words or fathom it, because we are humans with limited potential, limited logical potential, but that's what he talks about in this book. And just like a lot of really great concepts. I don't know. It's just like a really, really fantastic book. I would highly recommend it. It's a pretty easy read. I read this one about 15 years ago. Paradigm shifting book. Like this one was one of those more profound books. All right, guys, the next two books that I read, and these ones were actually life-changing for me. These books, I think, were sent to me from somebody up above who was watching over me, because they were so necessary at the time that I discovered them, and they literally changed my life. These books, this one in particular, I'll get more into that in a moment, because I think it's a little bit, I'll talk more about it in a moment, but these are the two books that when I read them, they got me through some extremely rough times in my life and literally changed the way that I thought. When my daughter was younger, I was going through some tough times. I had just gone through a breakup. I became a single mom of a 1-year-old baby. I was putting myself through university to become a nurse. The first time I went to school to become a nurse, I became an LPN first. I didn't have a lot of money. I didn't know how I was going to make ends meet. I had all these goals, all these dreams. I hadn't had my quote unquote glow up yet. So there was a lot of things I hadn't done for myself yet. I hadn't gotten braces yet, even though I actually really needed braces. We just never could afford them. I wasn't done in school. I needed a new vehicle. There was a lot of things. I was obviously like a single mom living with this 1-year-old baby, and things were not ideal in my life. I was going through some really rough times, and I discovered these two books. So this one here, by Wayne Dyer again, amazing. Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. So this book basically just has really good concepts in it that change the way that you view things, change the way that you view life, especially if you're going through a rough patch in life. For example, there's a part here that says, knowing when to stop is part of the path leading you to your essential self, where the need for fame and possessions is non-existent. You see, it's not the things or even the desire for recognition that keeps you from living a living connection to the Tao. It is your attachment to them that gets in the way. So shift the importance you've placed on success or belongings, which has obscured your connectedness. Begin to note the senselessness of demanding more, exhausting yourself in pursuit of what keeps you trapped in a vicious cycle of striving and never arriving, or trying to find fulfillment. So just interesting little things like that. They're kind of short little chapters. It has all these like verses, and then it talks a little bit about how to interpret that verse, and just like nice little ways of rethinking the way that you view things, reframing your thoughts, looking at things a little bit differently. And this book just was the type of book that you would read something at exactly the right moment you needed to read it. The next book that changed my life, this one is a little bit, I don't want to call it hokey, but I don't love the way that some of the things in here are written, and I also had the movie that came with this book. This is The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. This is one of the most famous best-selling books, I think, on the law of attraction that has ever been released. It was hugely, hugely popular when it came out. I read it, I think, once, maybe twice. This was the book that got me started with the law of attraction and that got me started with vision boards and actually reaching for goals and dreams that I at the time felt were unattainable. It talks about, don't just put out there the desire to manifest something that you can manifest. Put out there the desire to manifest things that you would think would be beyond your reach, dream big. For example, if I want to manifest $100, that's pretty easy for me to do. I know I can manifest $100 if I want. It's easy for me to go to work. It's easy for me to sell something, whatever. That's believable. But for example, you could try to manifest something larger, like $50,000, which is something that you internally, when you first hear that, you think, well, there's no way I can just manifest $50,000. Like, where am I going to get that from? But this book challenges you to believe that you can do that. And it challenges you to put things on your vision board, your dream board, your wish list, if you will, whatever you want to put, your belief system, that you can manifest those things that you feel somehow on some level are impossible. And through implementing the concepts in this book, I have been able to manifest things in my life that I never in a million years dreamt I could have done, you guys. This movie is the movie I don't like so much because it does a very literal job of explaining what the power of law of attraction manifestation is. But I don't like that they had like a genie in a bottle and this kid just thinking about a bike and then the bike shows up, because that's not how it is. Like, manifesting things in your life is not asking a genie in a bottle or simply thinking about a yacht and then you have a yacht, thinking about $1 million and you have $1 million. Like, that's not how it works. It requires changes in your belief system. It requires faith. It requires goal setting. It requires, thinking about things coming from a sense of abundance rather than a sense of lack or scarce. Like, it requires kind of changing how you think about things and the entire way that you look at the world, the entire belief system, the entire level of faith and the vibration that you hold within you, So there's a lot more that goes into it, but this book is quite good. It is a really good book. It is one that I want to revisit again because, like I say, I used to be like a master manifester. I used to be a master of like positivity, and I felt like the world's most positive, abundant human. And I just, I don't know, I was a very positive person. And like, I really think that going back to nursing school and like some of the stuff I've had to endure over the last 5-6 years has made me more cynical. I've become more cynical. And that is not a good way to be, because when you are feeling cynical and negative, you only attract that which you believe to be true. You only attract more bad encounters, more negative people, more scarce, more lack. You attract what you think about. So anyway, this book is pretty good. I think it's co-written by, or there's excerpts in here from like Bob Proctor and stuff like that. And it is a pretty good book. It's got all kinds of nice little quotes in it. Jack Canfield's amazing. So it says, for example, most of us have never allowed ourselves to want what we truly want because we can't see how it's going to manifest. If you do just a little research, it's going to become evident that anyone that ever accomplished anything did not know how they were going to do it. They only knew that they were going to do it. Stuff like that. So like, it's actually quite a motivating little book. And you guys, the year that I read this book, I was the very first year. In fact, I think that week I made my very first ever vision board. And my very first ever vision board was literally a piece of bristle board from the dollar store with permanent marker. And on that board, I wrote all the things I wanted to manifest in my life. And you guys want to hear something? And I recreated my vision board every year, every second year, and I would put it away for a while, and I would come back and look at it a few months later after I had forgotten about it and living life, doing things. I've never had a thing on a vision board not come true. And the craziest thing about that is that I still have an active vision board at this moment, like an active vision board going with things on it, pictures of things I want, words, symbols, things that symbolize what I want. And some of those things are amazing. And it's just an amazing concept that the best parts of your life haven't even manifested yet. It's just an amazing concept that whatever you put into the universe, whatever you truly believe with all of your being that can be yours, and you come from this place of abundance and gratitude, it's just really phenomenal to the concept that like this can all be mine, And when I first did it, it was, when I first did my vision board, it was things like, for example, I wanted a new vehicle and I wanted a certain kind of new vehicle. I wanted to take my daughter on a trip to Cuba. This is a little bit personal, but I wanted breast augmentation. I wanted braces. There was things I wanted. What else? I even put at that time on my vision board, the type of man I would end up with, the type of husband I wanted, the type of partner I wanted in my life. And the type of partner I described at that time, 13 years ago, you guys, is now the person I'm with now. Like, he checks off everything from that list of what I wanted in a man. Even though when I wrote it down on the paper, I was like, there's no way I will end up with someone like this. Like, this is a pipe dream. There's no way I'll end up dating somebody like that. There's no way I'll find a man who does all these wonderful things for me, who is all these amazing things, who, checks off all the boxes. And at the time I didn't believe it, but I crossed off every single thing on that list. And it's just amazing when it's just amazing when you discover the power that we truly have over our lives. So this book was amazing for me. This was one of those books I would call very, very life-changing, hugely life-changing for me. Even though some of the concepts and some of the ways that they explain some of the concepts, and the movie in particular, the DVD that went with it at the time, because yes, when I first discovered this, there was still just DVDs. The DVD is a little whimsical. The DVD is a little fantastical. It's a little bit like hokey, like genie in a bottle. No, that's not how it works. It's a whole different thing. But the book itself is amazing. And I'm sorry to ramble, but I think it's important to provide context, you guys. Great book. So that's why I have it back. I have not read this book in its entirety in about 13 years, I would say. So I would like to read it again because I think it'll be great to read it again. Okay, you guys, I apologize. We are losing light. The next book that changed my life was a couple years later. And this is The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up by Marie Kondo. Very, very popular book, especially for you people who are on my channel for the minimalism content. You no doubt have obviously heard of Marie Kondo. You've heard of this book. A lot of you have probably already read the book. If you haven't, I recommend going and reading the book. This talks about decluttering, organizing, minimalism, letting go of things that no longer bring you joy, no longer serve you, don't bring value to your life, are not being used. It talks about how to properly store your items, and it's by Marie Kondo. So yeah, this is a great book. Highly recommend it. This was what started my minimalism journey. Some of the other books were like paradigm books or spiritual books or books that changed the way I thought about myself and the world and my belief in myself and my self-awareness. They were self-awareness books. This is more of a practical lifestyle kind of book. And this one was what sparked my whole minimalism journey. So this was definitely life-changing. The Life-Changing Magic of Tidying Up. This was my first exposure to the world of minimalism, I would say. My second exposure to the world of minimalism was actually watching the documentary Minimalism. So yeah, definitely a must read. This is a must read, and this is one that I want to read again. Again, I have not read this in about 6 years. I think I started to read it again a couple years ago, lost interest, life got busy. I want to read it again. The next book is from none other than Robin Sharma. Now, I will tell you guys, Robin Sharma is fantastic. Again, he does a lot of manifestation. He does a lot of conquering your goals, changing your mindset, becoming the most productive person you know, he also touches a little bit on like the way that you think, the way that you behave, the things that you prioritize, how you prioritize things in your life. So this is the 5 a.m. Club. Robin Sharma has written a lot of great books, but this was the best one that I read from him. And also The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari was quite good. I read that one in high school. That's a good book. But this one's a little more tangible, practical, things you can physically do, concepts about being the most productive you can be, concepts about living your best life, not procrastinating, putting your goals and wishes and dreams into motion, this kind of thing, which I really, really like. So it says, own your morning and elevate your life. The only thing that sucks about the 5 a.m. Club, he essentially talks about how it's not just about waking up early, but he talks about the power that you have over getting up just an hour earlier than everyone else, a couple hours earlier than everyone else, motivational, productivity, that kind of thing. The only thing that I can't relate to is I can't stick to a routine of getting up at 5 a.m. because I work shift work. So that doesn't work for me. My sleep schedule is all over the place, but this is still a very good book. I try to look past the fact that I don't have a 5 a.m. regular routine. I would love to. I'm a morning person, but let me see if I can read in the dark what this says for you guys. So it says, legendary leadership and elite performance expert Robin Sharma introduced the 5 a.m. concept over 20 years ago based on revolutionary morning routine that has helped his clients maximize their productivity, activate their best health, and bulletproof their serenity in this age of overwhelming complexity. Yeah, he talks a lot about how people are addicted to distraction, how detrimental being addicted to TikTok and Instagram is. He talks a lot about, again, manifestation, vision boards, visualizing, and ties it all into like your physical health. What I like about him is he ties it all together. He ties mindset with tangible, actual things you can practically do to transform your life. Also, he talks about clutter. He talks about creating an environment around you that's conducive to getting great things done. He has a lot of great one-liners. Like if you look up Robin Sharma quotes, there are a ton of great Robin Sharma quotes that are just, again, I had sticky notes. And this guy also has a ton of YouTube videos, you guys. This is how I discovered him, actually, was from YouTube. Well, first of all, I had that book, The Monk Who Sold His Ferrari. Again, a teacher in high school recommended that book. I don't know if I want to read it again. Like I like this one better. But he has YouTube videos, and his YouTube videos are very, very motivating, you guys, like extremely motivating. I'm going to try to find my favorite one from him. It's a podcast he did, and I will link it below. It's about an hour long, but I have watched that podcast probably 4 or 5 times. It is worth it. It will change your life. Him and Brian Tracy, and probably Wayne Dyer, but him and Brian Tracy are the 2 most influential people in terms of like authors in my life. Okay, you guys, and we are seriously losing light, so I'm going to have to end this video pretty quick. But the last book that was pretty good, pretty helpful, and a really good read, and a very popular one, is by Dale Carnegie, and this is How to Win Friends and Influence People. The only book you will need to lead you to success. And this talks a little bit more about like engaging with people. It talks about like how to influence people, but not in a manipulative way. Like it sounds like a manipulative thing. Like, why would you want to influence somebody? But for example, one example that he talks about in here is that people love to talk about themselves. People love to hear their name. So like always try to remember people's name. Okay, my SD card cut out again. So not only am I losing daylight, but I'm also losing space on my memory card. But anyway, he talks about, address people by their name. The next time you see them, it's going to make them feel more special. It's a really good book for helping you navigate people, and like it's good for people who are maybe trying to get to know people at work, trying to make a good impression on people, trying to get their boss to like them. It talks about like positive reinforcement, how if someone's doing a terrible job at something, nagging them and telling them they're doing a terrible job isn't going to be the best thing to do. Something that would be more effective is to tell that person, hey, thanks for doing this. You did such a great job. Even if that person did a terrible job, just hearing that positive praise from you is going to make them want to do a better job next time. How to deal with your employees, how to deal with your kids, just like psychology kind of stuff. It's like psychology kind of stuff for getting people to like you, growing good relationships, improving your relationships with people. I hope that's making sense, but it's a pretty good book. Okay, guys, so I'm sorry that it's so dark in here. That is it for my little book haul, book tour, whatever you want to call it. Again, some of the books that I've read from this pile that weren't that great, some that I'm looking forward to reading, and some that I think are must-reads that were kind of life-changing that I would really recommend. Again, I will have them linked all down below if you're interested in any of them at all. And also, I would love your recommendations. And the best way to get a hold of me, you guys, if you want to recommend a book or have a conversation about something, is to write me on Instagram. That is the best way to get a hold of me because there's so many comments sometimes. I just don't always have time to sift through them. But I hope that you enjoyed this little book tour / book haul. I'm sorry about the lighting. Hopefully this came to you in the evening, so it was like relaxing and dark and whatever. And I'll see you guys all very soon.